UFC 303 took place this past Saturday. As usual, we're a few days late with our review of it. Talk about an absolute snooze fest. This was a cursed card, and I'm kind of just happy to be done with it. The month of June just continues to get stranger and stranger, and I think the perfect cherry on top was this card not only stinking, but the whole Dan Ige, Brian Ortega dilemma, something we've never seen before. Just a super, super cursed card all the way through. Fortunately, our Lord and Savior Poatan saved the day. You feel terrible for Jiří, but Pereira shows up and shows out like he always does. Justin, what did you think of the card as a whole?
Yeah, dude, like you said, the month of June has, in what looked like to be such a promising month for us as fight fans, has kind of turned into a bit of a disaster, if we're being honest. This card obviously was supposed to be the McGregor show. He bails a few weeks out from the event. Poatan does step up, which is great. But, I mean, the rest of the card ended up falling apart. And, I mean, they kind of did their best to put it, Band-Aided up. But we ended up with Ige and Lopez, which I'm not going to say was a boring fight, but I don't think it delivered to the expectations that Ortega Lopez we were expecting. And then the Gary MVP fight obviously did not deliver. I mean, might have fell asleep during the fight. Smith versus Delice, a middleweight. Smith looks like he should be in the booth. We knew that was coming.
I think he should be in the booth. I don't. He crushes it in the booth. You think? I don't know.
No, but he doesn't crush it in the octagon. So anything other than the octagon,
that's for
especially
sure.
a pay-per-view. Anthony Smith should not be in a 5-fight pay-per-view that someone's paying their hard-earned money to watch.
Saved the company again because he's a company man.
Fighters on that card.
Saving the company again, the company man, so you could shut your mouth. But that's too much Anthony Smith talk. You're pissing me off again. Let's get right into the main event. The only fight worth talking about. Oh, my goodness. Again, a lot of hating on the card. You kind of forget how cool the main event was and vice versa. It was so cool that you forgot how much the card stunk. But what'd you think of, talk about a couple of morons on this podcast. Just keep making the wrong predictions. I don't know how, looking back, I don't know how I picked Jiří Procházka. All due respect, love Jiří, and prayers up for the guy right now. Hope he's not down too bad. But what did you think of the performance from Alex Pereira? What do you think of this star power? All the commentary these last couple days. I mean, as it usually is with the MMA and sports community as a whole, you're either on one opposite end or the other. You see a lot of top 5 GOAT already, and you see a lot of people saying the complete opposite. So what do you think of his star right now? He couldn't be hotter. Coming into UFC 300, even before that, I feel like the hype, the aura around this guy was just reaching, this ridiculous level. With that win, it puts him even higher. And now, even with just stepping up before this fight and then having a flawless performance, I mean, he is just, too hot to handle right now. What do you think of Poatan, his star right now? And, what do you think of him?
Yeah, dude, like you said, we're in the Pereira era, I would call it right now. He is, it's his time right now. He's had, 3 performances in a row where he's just looked great, 3 knockouts in big fights. And yeah, dude, he's been stepping in on short notice. He's been taking some of these fights that have been helping the company, keep afloat. Dana was panicking at 300. He calls Poatan Chama. Connor pulls out. He calls Poatan Chama. He comes in and he delivers, dude. He's such an exciting fighter to watch. And hey, I picked against him in this fight. I think you picked against him. I think a lot of people picked against him, and it's like, dude,
you did. Yeah.
I think we have to come to the conclusion that if you go in there and you're just going to strike, and like you said, it is easier said than done, but there are the fighters he is fighting they're not, wrestling's not their strong point. They're not really looking to implement wrestling. And he's making them pay for it with brutal KOs, highlight reel knockouts. It's really fun to see. Like I said, it's definitely his time right now in the sport. He's at an all-time high when it comes to paper. I mean, just everything that he's doing right now. But I think the fans definitely need to pipe it down when it comes to top 5 GOAT status. Like, don't get me wrong, he's having a great run. What he's done, but top 5 GOAT status is absolutely disrespectful to some of the guys that are some of the guys you could put or people have in that category. I know everyone's categories are different, but I think the guy definitely is on his path to. I mean, he's definitely like a Hall of Famer in just this short span of what he's done in the sport. But as far as a top 5 guy or that in that elite category, I don't have him there yet. I need to see more. I need to see him fight. Obviously, some more guys, and especially some more guys that can implement MMA against them, as opposed to just these kickboxing matches.
Yeah, I think I want to get into that debate in terms of his ranking and things like that in a little bit. But like in terms of his competition, it is funny with UFC fans and, as I said earlier, just sports fans as a whole. Like when he beat Jamahal Hill, and a lot of people thought Jamahal Hill was going to win, immediately, like within days, it just is like, did Jamahal Hill always suck? Like, who has Jamahal Hill beat? And now I'm starting to see that with Jiří. A lot of people on Twitter are like, Jiří gets tagged every fight. He was never that good. Volkan almost knocked him out. Glover should have beat him. Dominic Reyes kind of did knock him, the like flash KO that he somehow survived. So now people are saying, like, is he not even that good? And he's just beat him twice. I don't know. Obviously, people take it a little too far. The guy has under 10 UFC fights. He needs to do a lot more before he's in those all-time conversations. But speaking of doing a lot, well, one more note on that. The guy is turning 37 in a few weeks, I believe. So like he's already had a whole career before coming into the UFC, maybe the most accomplished kickboxer in the history of the sport, or one of, at least in the last couple years. And now he comes into the sport so late and is doing all this. But in terms of the actual fight, is that the best he's ever looked in the UFC?
I mean, dude, it's hard to argue. I don't think in his last 2 fights, they've ended. I mean, that fight went around, but it doesn't seem like he's been touched in his last 2 performances. So
that's true. Yeah. Jamahal Hill, he knocks him out in what, like 2-3 minutes. So he doesn't get touched. Jiří, the first time though, obviously lost the first round. Before that, the Jan fight, I think we can agree, was probably his worst performance. Obviously, Izzy knocks him out. The first Izzy fight, Izzy was winning the whole time. So like, I think this was like the most flawless we've seen him. He just looked on another level. He clearly dominated the first round before knocking him out at the buzzer. And he did knock him out like that. The fight was over when the first round ended. And as we spoke about already, that was no fluke of a knockout. I mean, Jiří, that could have been 5 seconds into the first round. And I think that head kick still puts you out unconscious. Shout out to Coach Cruz, one of the GOATs in the game. I'm sure a future guest on this show. They're saying how he called it. Seeing the Instagram warm-up, which now I'm sure the UFC is going to be cautious about what they're posting, the way he was blocking those kicks. I'm sure that was the conversation they had in the corner at the end of the first, like, go for the high kick. Couple seconds in, puts him unconscious. But that had to be the best he's looked, I think, in his UFC career. Obviously, Jamahal Hill wasn't much of a fight, but he seems to be getting it better and better. So before we move on, what is next for Poatan? I said he has to do a lot if he wants to move into these all-time conversations, but he could do a lot very fast. There is a move that Mr. Joe Rogan, I think, had Dana White in the earpiece telling him to go direct that interview a certain way, because he seemed to really be pushing the move to heavyweight. At the post-fight presser, Dana did not seem as excited about it, but I don't really understand why Rogan would have been making as big of a deal if like he wasn't being told to say that. But what do you think is next for him? Obviously, the 3 fights, it seems, Ankalaev if he stays at light heavyweight, Aspinall if he wants to go fight the real heavyweight champ and get that 3rd belt, or John Jones. He could fight John Jones too, who I didn't know. Who I guess is still fighting technically. So out of those 3, what do you see is next for Poatan, for the biggest star in the sport, who doesn't reign, from Ireland? So other than McGregor and Ian Gary, who we'll talk about soon. But what's next for Chama?
Yeah, so look, you talk about legacy here. I agree. He's on his path to building this great legacy, but like you said, it's early, really early. Truthfully, with what's going on in the heavyweight division right now, I would love it. Like you said, he is 37, so I don't know. And to be my personal opinion, I do think that he will lose to a lot of these guys. So if he's going to move up to heavyweight, I would rather him do it now because, truthfully, like I think Ankalaev will beat him. That's just my personal opinion, but I would like to see him go do the heavyweights, the heavyweight, whether it's Aspinall or Jones. Like you said, if you're talking about legacy, I think he would want to fight the greatest MMA fighter of all time, which is John Jones. So if he wants the biggest legacy and to leave the sport as big a star as he could be, I think John Jones is the guy. But
wait, why when you said sorry, you said all that stuff going on at heavyweight. What were you referring to?
Jones will be fighting Stipe and Aspinall is fighting Blades. Both have fights.
Wait, when did they announced Jones Stipe? When is it?
Dana basically all but agreed that it will be in Madison Square Garden, I believe in November, December. So
November.
We know that that's happening.
Is it still July?
We know that Aspinall's booked with Blades.
Crazy.
Either way, if he wants to build his legacy as the best light heavyweight, I think he needs to stay in that division and clear it out. But we also have a guy who I think we could see in what would be one of the biggest fights in the history of the sport is a trilogy in the UFC with Mr. Adesanya. If Adesanya is able to beat du Plessis, I think would be great. Do I think Adesanya will take that fight at 205? No, I do not. When you talk about legacies, I mean, really, I would think it's more Alex that would want that fight if he beats Izzy, like Izzy's got a better, in my opinion, Izzy's resume is better than Alex's, so why not settle? I think if they fought for a trilogy, it'd be one of the biggest fights in the history of the sport. I don't think anybody would argue that, and we all know it'd be a very exciting fight. So there's the good thing is with Pereira, there's plenty of options. We'll see what the UFC has in store. The thing is, though, I don't see the UFC like risking losing the Pereira era, whether it would happen or not, against Ankalaev right now. Like I don't see them making the Ankalaev fight just because. Like we said, I think like he'd be over a 2-1 underdog in that fight, and it's like they would rather Pereira lose. If he's gonna lose, let's have him. They would rather him lose to an Aspinall, a Jones, Adesanya before an Ankalaev. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that is kind of what this comes down to. That's why I'm very confused. All right, well, this is all we talk about, and we'll get into it a little bit in a little bit. I don't understand how Dana is not like. He didn't already schedule him a heavyweight fight. Dana didn't seem too into it at the presser, which is like so beyond confusing to me. When was it like the only thing comparable to this guy was like when Izzy was coming up, like then he was like the biggest star, not named McGregor. I guess I don't even have to say that because that's what you mean when you're saying the biggest current star. So like that's like the only comparable thing in the last 5-ish years in terms of star power. Come on. Who else?
No, I'm saying I just don't think that Pereira is selling anywhere near the pay-per-views that Adesanya is selling. Like I don't think so.
I think Izzy had a little bit more. Dude, people are loving Pereira. Highest gate in Vegas history. So
come on, bro.
That's a pretty.
No, not in Vegas history. No.
And what did they? I don't know. Dana. Well,
Khabib fought McGregor. Khabib fought McGregor in Vegas.
All right.
Right?
Power Slap has more than NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL. You combine all those, you times it by 17. Power Slap has more something. I don't know what he's referring to in those clips, but he just says Power Slap has more. But the largest gate, like the ticket prices don't go up. You determine it's the arenas are not getting bigger. So, but largest gate nonetheless, Alex Pereira. It's also not like they had McGregor scheduled anyway. But I think his star, obviously, like I said, just continues to go up. And I don't see there being any possible way of him fighting Ankalaev next. Ankalaev deserved this fight over Jiří. We spoke about it after UFC 300, who was next, and we were both saying the exact same thing. It was like, Ankalaev is like technically next, but like this is the UFC. Why would you make that fight? Pereira is the fastest rising star in the sport. You give him another fun fight. Procházka, the definition of a fun fight. This was one of the most exciting buildups in recent memory. The Aura Maxers, right? So I think you can't do with what he just did, that flawless of a performance on that big of a stage. This guy, this past year, the way he's risen from just being like kind of him and Izzy on the same path as like now he's as big a star or close to as big a star, right?
Dude,
but yeah, so
just one thing I want to say about that is like you see this, especially with these guys like Adesanya, even like a Sean O'Malley and Pereira. These like they're obviously strikers, which is what sells like the big money. I mean, obviously, unless you're like an Islam or Khabib, but these guys who are elite kickboxers, strikers, whatever you want to call it, like it's part of Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard, Hunter Campbell. It's part of their job to like. I know people don't think this is like they don't believe this, but it's part of their job to like. They're putting Pereira in fights that they can't guarantee he's going to win, but they're putting him in there with strike. Like he even when he fought Strickland, like right when they announced the Strickland fight, I text my buddies. I'm like, yo. This is a tailor. They know that Strickland ain't gonna wrestle. It's a tailor-made fight. They want Pereira to win. Right on the Izzy undercard. Boom. You know what I mean? It's their job. That's why the company is where it's at. They build up these stars. Just like when Adesanya was coming up fighting the Derek Brunsons. You know what I mean? That was a bad example, but go on. Bro, the GOAT middleweight wrestler. What? Stop. Brunson ain't wrestling. At the end of his career, he wasn't wrestling anything.
Yeah, that's right. Because he was too busy stunning on the feet. Your middleweight champ and Jared Cannonier had him both hurt badly on the feet. Talk about a bum division middleweight is.
And then you see Pereira's coach, Pereira's manager today on Twitter already goes, "Yeah, what's next is 𝘉𝘍𝘍𝘍𝘍. Shocker, another striker."
They know they lost that fight, and he's not a striker, actually. He's a BJJ black belt, but nice try there, pal. And he couldn't hold Pereira down, and that's why Pereira would kill either of those heavyweights. You give him John Jones, that's not even a competitive fight. You give him Tom Aspinall, maybe a less competitive fight. I think Pereira beats anyone, regardless of what I think. I'm a moron. You got to give him one of those fights. Honestly, I love. Shut your mouth. I don't even want to hear what you're about.
Dinner on this?
I don't even want to hear what Tom Aspinall. I love that Tom Aspinall goes, oh, because everyone's like, he's got to fight Jones. He's got to fight Jones. He's got to fight Jones. Aspinall's like, come fight me. Let's fight. That would be a great fight. That would be what?
Can we right here on the pod today? Can we just put a nice, juicy steak dinner bet on either one of those fighting Pereira?
I'm not allowed to bet due to my current employer, unfortunately, but maybe off the record, you and I can chat. I think we know after this past weekend who, would only benefit from the making of a steak dinner, and that was pretty delicious by me. Thank you. But what was if John Jones and
Jones or Aspinall, I'll take either one. You said Pereira beats both. I'll take either one.
Yeah,
nice.
Off the record, I was just doing that for the showmanship. Obviously both of them would beat him, but actually that's not. He beats John Jones, dude. If they fight John Jones, it'll be 800 minus 800, but we can still just throw a steak dinner on it. I love it. That's perfectly cool with me. I'm in. I'm in. I think. Who knows? Who knows what John Jones is right now? We haven't seen the guy since he lost to Dom Reyes. On the record, right? We can say that he lost to Dom Reyes. And then what'd he do? He beat ` So who just got wrestled by Francis? That is funny. That is funny. No, a lot. We'll finish talking about this.
Not a top 3 heavyweight.
He probably is. I don't know. He's a video gamer. Guess what? So much to say about that because after what was I saying? Remember when Francis knocked out Stipe and then Dana was like, yeah, John Jones wants to come to heavyweight. Yeah, I'm sure. Did you see that fight? Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to come to heavyweight and fight that guy. And how he's turned. Again, a guy, he runs Power Slap, which runs social media, again, more than NFL, NBA, all these things combined. But he doesn't know how the internet exists and that we have video evidence of him saying these things. Very strange. I want to get a little bit more into Dana, but let's finish out talking about, real quick, rapid fire. So just real quick, you give a quick explanation. Alex Pereira's next opponent, Ankalaev. Does he win?
No.
John Jones?
No.
Tom Aspinall?
No.
Jelton Almeida?
Absolutely not.
Curtis Blades?
Curtis Blades will probably strike with him like he did Pavlovich, so yeah.
Volkov?
Oh, he would KO Volkov.
Ciryl Gane?
I go Ciryl Gane.
That's a sick fight. I think, honestly, when everyone was throwing around these heavyweight names, and then when Aspinall, the champ, put his name in the hat, then I just thought of the Gon fight. Like, that would be a sick fight. Trilogy versus Izzy. Who wins? At 205.
At 205, I'm going Pereira at 205 for sure.
All right, fine.
185. It's actually crazy, but I actually change. Like, I would actually go Izzy at 185, Pereira at 205, just because I think Pereira cutting to 85 is detrimental to the guy's health. Like, it's like he's so big that it's like I don't even know if he could do it at this point of his career.
He's a massive, massive light heavyweight. I think you look, as I just said, he's gotten better every fight since he's been at light heavyweight. I think his body has really adapted to being that size. He didn't look good against Jan. He didn't look like the guy that we had seen all these kickboxing highlights, these fights with Izzy. He didn't look like that guy. And he's just progressively gotten better, which, I mean, I love. I think when he fought against Jan, he won. We don't think he won that fight. I'm very glad he did because this run wouldn't have happened. But I remember he just didn't really look that good. He didn't do much. I guess he showed his wrestling defense, but the striking wasn't all there. And he just continued to get better. He just has continued to get bigger as well. I mean, he weighed in at like 235? The guy's like the biggest fucking light heavyweight now. I don't know how he possibly made middleweight. Another Joe Rogan.
I feel like most light heavyweights are walking around at that weight, like that, right around there, 235 ish. Like,
true, but he fought at 230, so he probably gets. I don't know. The guy, bro. We could talk about this guy all day. He used to weigh in at what, 219, 221 for middleweight fights. How is that possible? Like, that makes no sense to me, dude. DDP versus what's his name versus Pereira at 205.
205? I'd lean Pereira.
All right, so I think Pereira's like 1 for 8 in all these. My last one, I'll ask you. Khamzat Chimaev comes up to 205, fights Chimaev. Alex Pereira.
That's an easy fight for Khamzat. Easy, very easy.
Clip that. That's going fucking
First round viral. Submission. First round. We're
going viral, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, clip that. Hey, listen, because
you're getting clipped. Trust me.
If Khamzat can somewhat fight in the next fucking 3 months, dead serious, and he becomes champion somehow, I actually feel like they would give him that fight, like, to become a 2 division or 3 division, whatever it is, whatever. Like, I think they would give him that fight, and I will promise you, whatever you want, if they make that fight, you're on for whatever you want. You name it.
Wait. What did you say? Something about Khamzat being a 3 division champ or some shit? What the fuck? What did you say?
I said whether it be a 2 division or 3 division champ, whether if he became. You don't think Khamzat can at least become a champion at 185 or 170?
Yo, you want to make steak dinner bets? Let's do it again. I don't think Khamzat ever will be a champion.
Okay, that's fine.
2 division, 3 division champ? What are you talking about?
Bro, I want
3 division champ?
I wish they made the fucking Khamzat versus Pereira fight tomorrow. Because I will bet, you could bet whatever you want on it.
So that we could get mad about it getting canceled in 2 days? By weekend?
Khamzat wins that fight easily. Not even close. It's a much easier fight for him than just about any other fight he could have coming up.
All right, then last one, Pereira versus Bobby Whitaker.
At 85?
Whatever you want. Whatever, dude. You're so disrespectful. That's why you're getting clipped for... I forgot to put it out before, but who's going to put a run to this fucking Pereira, this one-dimensional? Yeah. Top 8 all time. Better than your boy is, and he would punt John Jones's face off if John Jones didn't fight the fight. Wait, I forgot. My last one, sorry. Did I ask? Alex Pereira versus Stipe.
Stipe. Easily.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Are you fucking dude?
Easily.
When is the jig up? Are you gonna just sit me down at some point and be like, you were messing with me the whole time?
A guy that ragdolled Ngannou will definitely ragdoll Pereira.
Huh?
Come on.
You ever see this guy?
No.
Ziggy? Sorry.
Is that Bob Marley?
Something like that. What were you saying? Yeah, speaking of, you must be smoking with my guy Ziggy here, dude. Come on now. What did you say? Stipe? Something about Stipe?
Yes, I said a guy who ragdolled Francis Ngannou, I'm pretty sure would ragdoll Alex Pereira, yes.
No, what are we doing, bro? I don't understand the whole concept of time. I got a very loose grasp on it, but
Bro,
something that happened
you
in
think that Jailton Almeida wouldn't beat Alex Pereira? Like, seriously,
okay.
you really don't think so?
I don't know what that has to do with Stipe Miocic, dude. What are we talking about? What are we talking about?
Bro.
You just said he ragdolled Francis Ngannou 7 years ago. I always look at the date like that's going to give me any timetable, but in 2017, he did that to Francis, so he's going to beat Alex Pereira.
I don't understand. You're going off of his performances against strictly strikers. Like, what are we talking about? This isn't K1.
This is time, dude. Dude, whatever. All right, we gotta fucking.
I just don't get like what you're acting like. It, bro, he would be an underdog in just about every single one of those fights. Literally.
Yeah, and he already the odds are out.
No, he's not. He's been a favorite. He has not been an underdog. He's been a favorite.
You said all these hypothetical fights that we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm saying he would be an underdog in 90% of them. Yes
correct.
Or no?
And the odds already came out in a couple that I asked, and he's the underdog. I'm not debating.
I know, so I'm saying, why are you acting as if I'm crazy for if him versus?
I'm not acting like you're crazy. I'm acting like you're crazy on Stipe, and I think the Khamzat thing is funny because he doesn't fight. If
Khamzat fought Pereira, who do you have winning?
Pereira.
Okay.
No, I have. Sorry, who do I have winning? I have Pereira winning versus Rob Whittaker or whoever would replace Khamzat because Khamzat won't fight because he's a bum. And if you look on his list, his last 5, it kind of looks like your boy John Jones because the guy never fights. All due respect to Khamzat, I know it's a medical issue, but I mean, medical issue or not, that doesn't really matter. He doesn't fight. It doesn't matter why. He doesn't fight. So he's great. I think he had champ potential. And I think, as we spoke about 2 weeks ago, it seems to be diminishing by the minute. So let's move on. Poatan is the biggest star in the sport. Jiří Procházka back in the forest training already, not even 48 hours away from the fight. Love that guy. Talk about a guy that it was brutal to see him lose. But UFC 303 in the books. A terrible card, somewhat saved from the main event. Just glad that June is over. What was the most promising month in a very long time for the UFC turns out terrible. But again, we still had some great fights this month, so we can't hate on it too much. We'll be back in action soon here. New stuff coming out, a couple videos a week, so make sure you like, you comment. Most importantly, you subscribe, you unsubscribe, and then you resubscribe. That's how we do it over here. Thanks for tuning in again. UFC 303, ballin' and brawlin'. It's a wrap.